Want to speak real German from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at GermanPod101.com.
Hi everybody, Anja here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common German questions. The question for this lesson is, what are some of the most common false friends in German? There are lots of words that look similar in English and German, but they don't always mean the same thing. It's pretty fitting that they're called false friends, because they can be deceptive. Here are some of the most common ones, so you can avoid any miscommunication the next time you speak German. Billionen in German means trillion, not billion, so be careful when you're reading financial information in the newspaper. For example, if you read, Die Bürger müssen 30 Billionen Euro Steuern zahlen innerhalb eines Jahres. That literally means the citizens have to pay 30 trillion euros in taxes in a year. That's a big difference. The word billion in German is actually Milliarden. Just make sure not to confuse it with million. Next, Brand is fire, not brand. For example, if you hear the sentence, Der Mann hat den Brand mit seiner Jacke gelöscht. He isn't talking about the brand of his coat. That actually means the man extinguished the fire with his coat. The word brand in German actually is Marke. If you're in a hurry, be careful not to use the word fast, which actually means almost. So for example, das ist fast alles doesn't mean it was done quickly. It actually means it's almost done. Fast in German is actually schnell. You should be really careful if you want to give someone a gift in German. This is because das Gift actually means the poison. So if you hear in a fairy tale that die Hexe gab das Gift, it actually means the witch gave the poison and not a nice present. That would be das Geschenk, the gift. If you're at the supermarket and overhear someone saying the word Taste, it doesn't mean they're talking about eating. The word Taste actually means to feel or to touch something. Like in this example. Taste mal die Pfirsiche, sicher zu gehen, dass sie reif sind. This means feel the peaches so you're sure that they're ripe. To taste in German is actually probieren. Let's do one more. If you hear someone say the word groß, it doesn't mean gross. It just means that something is big. For example, das Haus ist groß. The house is big. I hope that clears things up. Pretty interesting, right? Please leave any more questions in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal. Bye, see you next time. Hi everybody, Anja here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common German questions. The question for this lesson is, what is the difference between Entschuldigung, entschuldigen Sie, and entschuldige? Let's start from the beginning. The verb entschuldigen can be literally translated as to take away the guilt, with die Schuld meaning the guilt. This means you're asking the other person to free you from feeling guilty for whatever you're apologizing for. Both Entschuldigung and entschuldigen Sie, which are formal, and entschuldige, which is informal, are used to apologize to someone. Entschuldigen Sie und entschuldige are the imperative of entschuldigen, which means to excuse, and Entschuldigung means apology. While both expressions can often be used interchangeably, a conversation between a parent and their child might go like this. Entschuldige dich, apologize, to which the child will reply Entschuldigung, meaning apology, or more naturally in English, sorry. Entschuldigung can often stand on its own as an apology, but entschuldigen Sie or entschuldige often need another sentence to explain what you're apologizing for, such as entschuldigen Sie, dass ich zu spät war, which means excuse me being late, or entschuldigen Sie die Störung, meaning excuse the disruption. Entschuldigen Sie is formal, so this would be used at work. For example, when a colleague disrupts a meeting or, very politely, simply before asking a colleague a question. Another common phrase is Entschuldigung, das wollte ich nicht, meaning apologies, I didn't want that to happen. This can be used in many situations, and the das wollte ich nicht implies that whatever you did was an accident. This phrase can be used for anything from apologizing for dropping a plate at home to apologizing to your boss for breaking your computer at work. It's usually used when your mistake was noticed by another person and that person makes you aware of what you did. Another example is ist entschuldigt, which directly translates as he's excused. This is commonly only at school when parents write a note for their children when they are sick. Their absence is then called an entschuldigt. In casual situations, for example, if a friend is a few minutes late, many people would just shorten this phrase by saying Entschuldigung. For example, Entschuldigung, ich stand im Stau, which means, sorry, I was caught in traffic. Increasingly, people also say just sorry in very casual or friendly situations. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal. Bye, see you next time. Hi everybody, Anja here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common German questions. The question for this lesson is, what is the difference between wohnen and leben? Wohnen and leben can both be translated as to live and are often used interchangeably in German. For example, you could say ich wohne in Deutschland or ich lebe in Deutschland, and both would mean I live in Germany. However, wohnen is only used when talking about your current living situation and might be closest to the English verb to reside. For example, ich wohne in einer Wohnung in einer Wohngegend means I live in an apartment in a residential area. Wohnen and Wohnung, which means apartment, have the same origin. The verb leben can be used to express this too, but is also used in the more literal sense, like lebt, which means he's alive. Let's do some examples so you can see how to use wohnen and leben correctly. In this sentence, ich wohne in Berlin, which means I live or reside in Berlin, wohnen is more commonly used than leben because it's talking about your address. However, both verbs are possible. The sentence, meine Katze ist sehr alt, aber sie lebt noch, which means my cat is very old but she's still alive, uses the word leben because it's talking about the physical state of your cat. Here is a sentence that uses both leben and wohnen. Ich habe ein Jahr im Ausland gelebt und in einer WG gewohnt. This means I lived abroad for a year and resided in a share house. When referring to an experience such as living abroad, leben is commonly used because it usually implies the experience of living rather than just where your address would be in that foreign country. However, when discussing the actual living situation, we used wohnen to talk about the share house, which in German is a WG or Wohngemeinschaft. When in doubt, the verb leben is a safe bet, as it always fits whenever you want to express to live. Wohnen, however, can only be used when expressing living in the sense of residing. It's more commonly used than the English verb to reside, though. Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal. Bye, see you next time. Hi everybody, Anja here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common German questions. The question for this lesson is, what is the difference between lowercase z and capital Z? Z with a capital S means you in the plural, and Z with a lowercase s means she, singular, and they, plural. The German language has a formal and an informal way of addressing people. The formal address is used when speaking with adults, excluding family and friends, and is used in everyday life. It's often used with your colleagues at work and always in business situations, such as between a customer and a sales clerk. The informal address is used for children and young teenagers up to the age of 16. Let's do some examples so that you can learn how to use capital Z and lowercase z correctly. In this sentence, sie geht jeden Tag einkaufen, which means she goes shopping every day. Sie is capitalized, therefore it means she. It's also at the beginning of the sentence. The third person singular geht is from the verb gehen, which means to go, so there is no confusion that the proper address is she. Now take the sentence, sie gehen oft zusammen in die Stadt, meaning they often go into town together. Here, sie is only capitalized because it's at the beginning of the sentence and means they. As this is a statement, not a question, it's clear that it means they, despite using the same conjugation gehen as the formal sie. Another example is, gehen Sie heute früher nach Hause? Which means, are you going home earlier today? In this case, the sie is the formal you and is used to ask a person a question. Here, the listener has to pay attention to the context. If someone was pointing at a group of people leaving the office and said, gehen Sie heute früher nach Hause? It would mean, are they going home earlier today? But if they're looking straight at you, you know they're asking about you. It could also be used in a statement. If your boss sees that you look sick, he or she might say, gehen Sie heute früher nach Hause, meaning go home earlier today. An interesting fact is that when two people, excluding two young people in a social setting like school, university, a party, meet, the younger person has to wait for the older person to suggest using the informal du instead of the formal sie. If you're feeling confident about the differences between sie and sie, try this tongue twister. Sind Sie sicher, dass sie begleiten soll? That means, are you sure that she's supposed to accompany you? Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal. See you next time.
Want to speak real German from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at GermanPod101.com.
Hi everybody, Anja here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common German questions. The question for this lesson is, what's the difference between ihn and ihm? Ihn and ihm both mean him in German. So how do you know which one to use? Ihn is used for direct objects. That means it answers the question what or whom. Ihm is used for indirect objects. That means it's used in response to questions like to whom or for what. Does that sound confusing? Don't worry, we'll do some examples. Now, there are two things you should know before we dive in. One, because ihn is a direct object, it's used in the accusative case. So it marks the object that's answering what or whom. For example, ich rufe ihn an. I'm calling him. Here, the him is receiving the action called and answering the question, who are you calling? Ihm is used in the dative case, which means it's supposed to mark the indirect object. For example, ich gebe ihm einen Stift, meaning I give him a pen. Here, ich answers the question, who did you give the pen to? Let's do some more examples so you can learn how to use ihn and ihm correctly. First, let's do an example with ihn. Our first sentence is, auch wenn wir ihn nicht mögen, laden wir ihn zur Party ein. This means, even though we don't like him, we'll invite him to the party. Here we have the word ihn twice. That's because the object ihn, meaning him, is receiving two actions, dislike and invite, from the subject wir or we. Here, ihn would answer the questions, who do you dislike and who did you invite to the party? Next, let's do an example with ihm. Ich habe ihm ein Geschenk gegeben. This means I gave him a present. In this sentence, the ihm is receiving the present and answers the question. To whom did you give the present? Lastly, let's do an example with both ihm and ihn. Zeigen Sie ihm, dass Sie ihn lieben. Show him that you love him. Sounds romantic, right? Here, the ihm answers the question, to whom are you showing love? And the ihn answers the question, who do you love? How was this lesson? Pretty interesting, right? Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal. Bye, see you next time.
Hi, my name is Elisa. Welcome to Top 25 German Phrases. Let's get started. Hallo, hello. Hallo, hello. It's usually used between friends and usually you add hallo, wie geht's? It's hello, how are you? Guten Morgen, good morning. Guten Morgen, good morning. And obviously it's used in the very casual would be just morning, morgen. Guten Tag, good afternoon. Guten Tag means good afternoon or good day. You don't usually say it to friends. Guten Tag. Na klar, of course. Na klar means of course. I actually use it a lot. It's very casual. Kannst du mein Auto heute waschen? Na klar. That would be really good. But it means, can you wash my car today? Of course. Who wouldn't want that, right? Wie heißen Sie? What's your name? Wie heißen Sie means what's your name? Wie heißen Sie is a very formal way to say it. Between friends, it would be more wie heißt du? Wie heißen Sie? Ich heiße Alisa. What's your name? My name is Alisa. Ich bin, I am. Ich bin heute gut drauf. I am in a really good mood today. Ich bin im Urlaub. I am on vacation. Wie geht es Ihnen? How are you? Wie geht es Ihnen? And then, mir geht es gut. How are you? I am good. Es freut mich, Sie kennenzulernen. Nice to meet you. Hallo, wie geht's? Es freut mich, Sie kennenzulernen. Hello, how are you? Nice to meet you is a very common sentence. Mir geht es gut, danke. Und Ihnen? I'm fine, thanks. And you? Mir geht es gut, danke. Und Ihnen? I'm fine, thanks. And you? It's the answer to if you get asked, wie geht es Ihnen? When you're talking to friends, you can actually say, mir geht es gut, danke. Und dir? Bitte, please. Bitte also means you're welcome. Danke, dass du heute einkaufen warst. Ach, bitte. Thank you for going grocery shopping today. You're welcome. Bis später. See you later. Bis später. See you later. Bis gleich means when you're actually meeting in maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And bis später is used mostly, for example, in the morning and you're going to meet during the evening. Hallo, sollen wir heute essen gehen? Ja, gerne. Ja, dann bis später. Hello, should we go have something to eat today? Yes, sure. See you later. Ich glaube schon. I think so. Ich glaube schon. I think so. Meinst du, wir können heute was trinken gehen? Ich glaube schon. Yeah, do you think we can go have drinks tonight? I think so. Ich glaube schon is kind of like an uncertain thing to say. Danke. Thank you. Danke. Thank you. Danke is very casual between friends and family. Wie geht es dir heute? Danke, sehr gut. How are you today? Thank you, I am fine. Gern geschehen. You're welcome. Ja, danke, dass du mir beim Umzug geholfen hast. Gern geschehen. Thank you for helping me move. You're welcome. Ja, yes. Ja means yes. And of course, it's a very, very common word in German. You use it all the time when you're listening to someone. Ja, kannst du heute bitte mit dem Hund spazieren gehen? Ja. Can you take the dog for a walk today? Yes. Nein, no. Nein, no. Hast du am Samstag Zeit? Nein, leider nicht. Are you free on Saturday? No, sorry, I'm not. Just saying nein is a little bit rude, so people just add, no, I'm not free. Okay, okay. It's more used with friends and family and not at workplace. When I was a child, I wasn't allowed to say okay, for example. I have to say yes or no. Ja, nein. And of course, okay is also used, for example, wie geht es dir? Or mir geht's okay. How are you? I'm okay. Kannst du mir vielleicht eine Kamera heute ausleihen? Okay. Could you lend me your camera today? Okay. Entschuldigung. Excuse me. Entschuldigung. Excuse me. Entschuldigung, Sie haben gerade Ihre Schlüssel verloren. Excuse me, you just dropped your keys. So yeah, excuse me and I'm sorry means both. Entschuldigung. It's a very formal way to ask somebody for a favor. Kein Problem. No problem. Kein Problem. No problem. It's a very common sentence. I use it all the time. Kein Problem. Kein Problem. Kein Problem. If somebody's gonna be late or ich komme erst in 10 Minuten. KP means no problem. Wie viel Uhr ist es? What time is it? Yes, obviously, when you want to know the time, you ask this, and it's used at work. It's neither formal or casual. You can use it with friends. You're in the city and you forgot your watch. Entschuldigen Sie, wie viel Uhr ist es? Excuse me, what time is it? It's a very common phrase and used everywhere. Einen Moment bitte. One moment, please. You bought something and you want to return it. Entschuldigen Sie, ich würde gerne etwas zurückschicken. Einen Moment bitte. Excuse me, I would like to return something. One moment, please. Ich hätte gerne. I would like. Ich hätte gerne einen Salat mit Pommes. I would like a salad with fries. Wait. I would like a water. Wie viel macht das? How much is it? Ich hätte gerne ein Kleid für eine Hochzeit. Wie viel macht das? I would like a dress for a wedding. How much is it? Zahlen bitte. The check, please. Zahlen bitte. The check, please. When you're ordering something and you're finished and you want to pay, you usually say to the waiter or waitress, zahlen bitte. Hilfe, help. Hilfe! Help! Hilfe, like help, is when you're in need of something or you can't do it by yourself. You scream or you say, Hilfe! Ja, ich bräuchte Hilfe heute Abend. I need help tonight. Thank you for watching. Today we did the top 25 German phrases. Don't forget to subscribe. See you soon. Bye.
Hi everybody, Anja here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common German questions. The question for this lesson is, what does ja mean in German and how do I use it? The German language uses a lot of little words in sentences to slightly change the tone. It could be to add emphasis to make a statement less direct or less harsh, to comfort someone, to acknowledge a fact, to express surprise, and more. One of these words is ja. Ja normally means yes. However, when used in the middle of a sentence, the meaning is different. For example, in the sentence, Du sprichst ja auch Deutsch, meaning, you speak German too. It cannot be translated as yes. There is no direct translation. Here, it's just emphasizing that the person you're speaking to can also speak German. Break it down so you can understand how to use ja more easily. Let's use this scenario as an example. A German and a non-German person are talking about an exam they took in German. The German person says, Ich fand den Test einfach, which means, I found the exam easy. The non-German person might respond with, Du sprichst ja auch Deutsch, meaning, well, of course you would, since you can speak German. Let's do another example, with Ich gehe ja schon, meaning, I'm already going. You would use the sentence if someone has repeatedly asked you to do something. The ja refers to the fact that you know you have been asked a number of times and can be translated as, Okay, I'm going, stop nagging me. Ja can also be used in the following scenario. Ist ja auch so, meaning, well, that's how it is. This time, the ja makes the sentence sound a bit defiant. For example, if someone says, Du beschwerst dich oft über Staus auf der Autobahn, meaning, you often complain about traffic jams on the highway. The other person might, in a slightly annoyed tone, reply with, Ist ja auch so. Well, that's just how it is. Let's do one last example. Imagine you're feeling hungry and you remember there are some cookies in the kitchen. However, when you open the jar, there are none left. You might say, Nanu, die Kekse sind ja schon alle, meaning, oh, the cookies are all gone already. In this case, ja adds an element of surprise. How was this lesson? Pretty interesting, right? Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal. Bye, see you next time. Hi everybody, Anja here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common German questions. The question for this lesson is, what are the differences between du, dich, sie, and ihnen? Lowercase du means you informally, and dich means yourself or you as the direct object. Capital Z means you formally, and ihnen is you as the formal indirect object. Let's go over du and sie first. Du is used to address children and teenagers up to the age of 16, as well as family and friends. Sie is used to address adults you don't know well, in addition to teachers, bosses, colleagues, and everybody you come in contact with as part of a business transaction. Let's do some examples so you understand the differences between du, dich, sie, and ihnen more easily. The expression freust du dich auf den Urlaub, which means are you looking forward to the vacation, comes from the verb sich freuen, meaning to be glad or to be happy. It's a reflexive verb and the pronoun sich changes according to the subject. For example, ich freue mich, which means I am happy or I am glad. Du freust dich would be you're happy, and freut sich would be he's happy. Freust du dich auf den Urlaub? Is a common question, especially around school holidays. Teachers might ask this to the children in their class, or friends might ask each other if they've booked a vacation somewhere. Another sample sentence is, Geht es Ihnen gut? Which means, are you well? This is used to address someone formally and ask how they feel. It's not to be confused with a standard greeting, Wie geht es Ihnen? Meaning, how are you? Geht es Ihnen gut would be used if you noticed someone looks like they're not feeling well or might be in trouble. A final example is, Gehen Sie, wenn es Ihnen nicht passt, which literally means, if you're not okay with it, leave. This sentence uses both Sie and Ihnen. Gehen Sie is the formal imperative, leave, and jemanden nicht passen, not to fit someone, is a common expression used to describe a piece of clothing that doesn't work on someone. For example, Das Kleid passt mir nicht. The dress doesn't fit me. It's also used in non-ideal situations such as Morgen passt mir nicht, meaning tomorrow is not good for me. There are two common phrases using du and sie and dich and ihnen respectively. The first one is Was machst du? Informally, or Was machen Sie? formally, both meaning what are you doing? The other phrase is wie geht es dir? Informally, and wie geht es Ihnen? Formally, both meaning how are you? Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal. Bye, see you next time.
Hi, welcome to Introduction to German. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by...
Hi everyone, I'm Jenny.
In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of German grammar. Word order refers to the order in which words are structured to form a sentence in a given language. Consider the English sentence, I ate an apple. But first, let's remove the article an here for simplicity. So we're just left with I ate apple. The basic word order for English is subject, verb, object, or SVO for short. If we break down the English sentence, I ate apple, we can see that the subject I is presented first, followed by the verb ate, and then finally the object apple is positioned last. This is the basic word order for sentences in English.
Now let's compare that same sentence, I ate an apple, in German. Ich esse einen Apfel. Like before, let's remove the article to keep it simple, so we're just left with the words. If we break down the German sentence, we get the subject ich, meaning I. Then comes the verb esse, meaning eat. And finally we have the object Apfel, meaning apple. Ich esse Apfel. The basic word order for German then is subject, verb, object, or SVO for short.
As you can see, English and German both have the same word order. This essentially means that you can create basic German sentences by exchanging English words for German words.
This isn't perfect, but it's a good place to get you started. Understanding basic word order will allow you to string together the few German words you've learned to create basic sentences and to start communicating in German.
In the previous section, you learned that English and German both use the same SVO word order. Let's study this aspect in a little more detail. First, let's take a look at an example in English. She sees the boy every day. We can clearly see the SVO word structure used in English, even with the adverb attached at the very end there. But what if we were to try and change the word order of this sentence? Let's swap the object and the subject around. Now we get, the boy sees she every day. As you can see, rearranging the word order of an English sentence actually changes the meaning of the sentence itself.
The word order of German, on the other hand, is much more flexible than English. While German does follow an SVO word order like English, it's much less rigid, allowing us to move elements of the sentence around. Sie sieht den Jungen jeden Tag. Den Jungen sieht sie jeden Tag.
As you can see, swapping the object and the subject around in German doesn't change the core meaning of the sentence itself.
Jeden Tag sieht sie den Jungen. In fact, all parts of the sentence can be rearranged, except the verb. As long as the verb is the second element in the sentence, you can generally rearrange the sentence however you wish.
We've talked about basic sentences in English and German, but what if you wanted to give more detail to a sentence? Consider the following English sentence. I like apples because they taste good. Notice how there are two parts to this sentence. I like apples and because they taste good. We call the first part of this sentence the main clause and the second part of this sentence the dependent clause because it depends on the first part to make sense. If we break down the two parts, we can see that English sticks to the SVO word order once again.
Now, let's compare the same sentence in German. Ich mag Äpfel, weil sie gut schmecken. The main clause has the verb as the second element, so this is fine. The dependent clause, however, has the verb as the final element in the sentence, not as the second element.
So in fact, German sentences will always have the verb as the second element, but if there's a dependent clause, the verb in that clause will always be moved to the final position.
Ich mag Äpfel, weil sie gut schmecken. Negating basic sentences in German is easy compared to English. Simply add nicht, which means not, at the end of a German sentence. Ich schlafe. Ich schlafe nicht.
If you want to show that you have zero sum of something,
you would add kein, which can be translated to no, depending on the sentence. Ich habe kein Geld. Ich habe keine Energie.
This is a simplified way to negate basic sentences in German.
Formulating questions in German is also easy. Simply swap the verb and the subject to make a sentence into a question. Sie ist hier. Ist sie hier? Sie ist Äpfel. Ist sie Äpfel?
Just a quick swap makes this a question. Well done! We've covered a lot of things in this lesson, so let's recap on what we've learned. In this lesson, you learned that the same word order as English can be used in German. German word order can be rearranged any which way, so long as the verb is the second element in the sentence. If there are dependent clauses, then the verb in that clause will appear at the end of the sentence. Simply add the word for not at the end of a sentence to make it negative. And to formulate a question, simply swap the subject and verb around.
Hi everybody, Anja here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common German questions. The question for this lesson is, what are the different versions of ein and eine, and how do I use them? Ein and eine are indefinite articles like a and an in English. You can also use these articles for the word one, but only when you're counting. For example, ein Hund, one dog, or eine Katze, one cat. They shouldn't be confused with the actual number for one, which is eins. Ein is used for masculine and neuter nouns. One man is masculine, so it would be ein Mann, while one house is neuter, so it would be ein Haus. Eine is used for feminine nouns. Eine Frau, for example, would be one woman. The indefinite article changes according to the case of the noun. There are 4 cases: nominative, accusative, genitive, and dative. If the noun is in the nominative case, the articles are ein in masculine and neuter and eine in feminine. For example, es ist ein schönes Haus, meaning it's a nice house. If the noun is in the accusative case, it's einen masculine, eine feminine, and ein neuter. An example would be, ich rufe einen Kollegen an. I am calling a male colleague. If the noun is in the genitive case, the articles change to eines, masculine neuter, and einer, feminine. For example, es ist das Auto einer Freundin, meaning it's the car of a female friend. If the noun is in the dative case, the articles change to einem, masculine neuter, and einer, feminine. For example, das Land gehört einem Unternehmen, meaning the land belongs to a neuter company. The accusative case is the only case in which the masculine and the neuter indefinite articles are different from each other. For feminine indefinite articles, eine in nominative and accusative or einer in genitive and dative are the only options. If you feel like you have a handle on indefinite articles, try this fun sentence. Ich habe einen Hund, eine Katze und ein Meerschweinchen, which means I have a dog, a cat, and a guinea pig. Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal. Bye, see you next time.
Want to get cheat sheets, audiobooks, lessons, apps, and much more every month for free? Just click the link in the description to get your free language gifts of the month.
Hi everybody, Anja here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common German questions. The question for this lesson is, what's the difference between kein or keine and nicht? Kein or keine and nicht are used to make negative sentences. So how do you know which one to use? Let's go over them together. Nicht is used in sentences with definite articles like the in English. For example, ich mag das Essen nicht. I don't like the food. Nicht is also placed before verbs in sentences such as ich kann nicht kochen, meaning I can't cook. Here the word nicht comes before the word kochen, meaning to cook. Kein and keine are used in sentences with indefinite articles like the English a or an, or when there is no article at all. For example, ich spreche kein Deutsch. I don't speak German. Let's do some examples so you can learn how to use kein, keine, and nicht correctly. Let's start with nicht. Ich kann das Buch nicht finden, das ich gestern gekauft hatte. I can't find the book I bought yesterday. In this sentence, we have das Buch. Das is the definite article the, so we need to use nicht. Now let's do an example with kein, keine. Ich kann keine Bücher mehr sehen. This expression literally means I can't see any books anymore, but is actually an idiom meaning I have had enough of studying. There is no article, so we need to use kein or keine. You can use this expression to talk about anything you're tired of doing. Another example would be, ich kann keine Nudeln mehr sehen. I can't see pasta anymore, which you may use if you've been eating the same meal every day for a week. Let's do one last example using both nicht and kein, keine. Ich würde nicht spazieren gehen, wenn ich keinen Hund hätte. I wouldn't go for a walk if I didn't have a dog. Here, nicht is used before the verb spazieren, meaning walk, and keinen, the conjugated form of kein, keine, in the male accusative case, is used in reference to the noun with the indefinite article Hund, meaning a dog. How was this lesson? Pretty interesting, right? Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal. Bye, see you next time. Hi everybody, Anja here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common German questions. The question for this lesson is, what is the difference between Urlaub and Ferien? Ferien and Urlaub can both be translated as vacation or holiday. Urlaub originally comes from the verb erlauben, or to allow, meaning you were asking to be allowed to leave work. Ferien is used to refer to a period of free time with no school or work. These vacations have been set by the government, for example, summer holidays, Christmas holidays, Easter holidays, and so on. Urlaub is used to refer to time an individual takes off from work, which is not set by the country or state. It's also used to refer to an actual vacation. For example, a father and mother might apply for Urlaub, or time off work, so that they can go in den Urlaub, on vacation, with their children. Let's do some examples so you can see how to use Ferien and Urlaub correctly. In den Sommerferien hat die Schule zu. For example, means the school is closed during the summer holidays. Ferien is used as Sommerferien, which means summer holidays. This is a fixed period of 6 weeks off set by the government for each of the 16 states. Let's do another example. Ich bin nächste Woche nicht im Büro, weil ich Urlaub habe, which means I won't be in the office next week because I have a week off. Here, Urlaub is used. It's a period of time of work that each individual employee can decide to take at different times. Let's do another example with Urlaub. Ich hatte einen tollen Urlaub in Südfrankreich means I had a great vacation in the south of France. In this case, Urlaub means a vacation that an individual took that is unrelated to the government-set holidays. An interesting distinction between Urlaub and Ferien is school children and university students have Ferien, but employees have Urlaub. However, in den Urlaub fahren, to go to vacation, is for everyone. Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal. Bye, see you next time. Hi everybody, Anja here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common German questions. The question for this lesson is, what is schon in German and how do I use it? Schon literally means yet or already, such as hast du schon gegessen? Meaning have you eaten yet? Or es ist schon spät. It's already late. It's a really common German expression. Idiomatically, it's often used to make a statement friendlier or add emphasis. Let's do some examples so you can learn how to use schon correctly. A sample sentence would be Es ist schon okay, which simply means it's okay. Like you would say if you were forgiving someone who has offended you. It would be possible to use the sentence Es ist okay, but this might seem a bit short and distant. You can think of it as saying, it's okay, it has already been forgiven and forgotten. Another example is schon gut, which literally translates to already good, it's okay, or apology accepted. This can be used as a response to someone apologizing for a minor mistake. For example, schon gut, mach dir keine Sorgen, which means it's okay, don't worry. If you're still upset about the situation, you can use the more curt schon gut, which applies, okay, let's not talk about it anymore and move on. You can also use this phrase, schon besser, which literally means already better. You may hear this, for example, if you receive feedback on something like a project or a report, make changes, and then present your changes to your teacher or boss. In this case, they might say, schon besser. This can come across in different ways depending on how it's said. A slow curt schon besser, emphasizing the schon, can come across as better but not good enough. But a friendly oh, das ist schon viel besser sounds much more uplifting and positive and can translate as oh, this is already much better. If you want to step up your German game a little with your friends, you can use the phrase Die Sache ist schon gegessen, which literally means the thing has already been eaten. It's an idiom that actually means a negative incident has already been forgotten. Try using it the next time one of your German friends apologizes for something. One last insider hint is be careful not to confuse schon with schön, with an umlaut over the O. That means beautiful. Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal. Bye, see you next time. Hi everybody, Anja here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common German questions. The question for this lesson is, what's the difference between nein, nicht, and kein? Nein means no, and is used in the same way as the English no, such as nein danke, no thank you, or wohnst du in Berlin? Nein, ich wohne in Hamburg. Do you live in Berlin? No, I live in Hamburg. Nicht means not, and is used to make a sentence negative. Ich wohne nicht in Berlin. Ich auch nicht mean I don't live in Berlin, me neither, respectively. Kein is also used to make a sentence negative. However, it's only used before nouns with an indefinite article, such as or an in English, or no article at all. In these cases, kein replaces the need for nicht. For example, ich habe einen Hund. Ich habe keinen Hund, which means I have a dog and I don't have a dog, respectively. The second sentence literally means I have a dog. Let's do some more examples so you can learn how to use nein, nicht, and kein more effectively. Nein on its own is often considered rude, so people add danke in order to make the sentence nein danke, which means no thank you. For example, nein danke, ich habe schon gegessen, meaning no thank you, I have already eaten. If someone asks you if you ever have been somewhere such as warst du schon mal in Rom? Have you ever been to Rome before? Simply saying the word nein might signal to the person you're talking to that the conversation has ended. So it may be better to say nein, noch nicht, which literally means no, never, so far. With the word nicht, a common expression is noch nicht, which means not yet. It's often the answer to a question containing the word schon, which means already or yet. For example, hast du den Film schon gesehen? Noch nicht. Have you seen the movie yet? Not yet. However, it can also be used to show you're planning on doing something. For example, warst du heute einkaufen? Noch nicht, aber ich gehe gleich. Which means, have you gone shopping today? Not yet, but I will go soon. An example with kein would be, ich habe keine Lust, which is a common expression meaning, I don't want to, or I don't feel like it. It's often used to complain about having to go to work, school, or a similar commitment, such as in, ich habe wirklich keine Lust auf Arbeiten heute, which means, I really don't feel like working today. It would be considered rude to use it as a direct reply to someone asking if you want to do something. In that case, it would be better to say, ich fühle mich nicht nach Arbeiten heute, which also means, I don't feel like working today, but implies that it's because you don't feel well. If you feel like you've got it and really want to challenge yourself, you can use all three in the same sentence with this phrase. Nein, ich kann nicht, ich habe keine Zeit, which means, no, I can't, I don't have time. Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal. Bye, see you next time. Hi everybody, Anja here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common German questions. The question for this lesson is, why does German use two different words for joke? Both Witz and Scherz can be translated as joke. Witz is used in the actual sense of telling a joke, and a Scherz can be a prank or an ironic comment. A good insider tip is to know the phrase war ein Scherz. It roughly translates to it was a joke, and is often added after saying something that could potentially offend someone. It's used to either clarify that you're not being serious or even to retract the statement. So if you hear this, don't take what the person said to heart. Let's do some examples so you can use Witz and Scherz correctly. The phrase sehr witzig means very funny. It's often used ironically when you don't find something funny or when you're trying to tease someone. Another example would be, du bist heute aber zu Scherzen aufgelegt. This means you're in a silly mood today. It literally translates to, you've been set up to crack jokes today. The aber meaning but is used for emphasis. An additional good phrase to know is, du machst Witze. This means, are you kidding? Accompanied by a facial expression of disbelief. This might be used when hearing surprising or even shocking news, though nothing too serious, like death or illness from a friend. An interesting fact is that there are two colloquial verbs based on Witz and Scherz. The first is witzeln, meaning to quip, and the second is scherzen, meaning to joke. Both are used when people are being silly and joking around a lot. If you feel like you're getting the hang of German humor, you can try this fun phrase. Hast du einen Clown gefrühstückt? This literally means, have you eaten a clown for breakfast? It's an ironic expression that actually means, well, aren't you being funny or silly today? Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Tschüss, bis zum nächsten Mal. Bye!